Tail location near you.
Let's go.
I like that music, Blakey Blakeser. What are you trying to do to me? Get me all fired up? During the SEC Insider Hit? Brought to you by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. New surgery center and clinic, Lakeland Drive, Flowood. Yes, they still have the location on Fortification. When I started going to in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. MississippiSportsMedicine.com. You can follow them on Facebook, too. Mississippi Sports Medicine. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, is brought to you by Bank Plus. It's more than a name, it's a promise. Welcome in. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Got a good show lined up for you today. 17 games in the NFL. I'll take it. Will we see a little bit different scheduling within the Southeastern Conference? Hopefully sooner than later, right? You know, play some more teams more often. That would be nice for sure. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, WRKS. Thanks for making us your sports and entertainment show of choice in the great state of Mississippi. Thanks for listening to the show outside of the state on the Out of Bounds radio app. We welcome in Ole Miss Athletic Director Keith Carter on the Modelo guest line. Keith, good morning. How are you?
I'm great, Bo. How are you this morning?
Man, I'm doing well. Well, you know, we were talking about the NFL draft earlier, and I want to talk about one of your student athletes who I think is a phenomenal player, and I'm told within your program an outstanding person. That's Elijah Moore. I'm sure you've gotten to know him a little bit. He had a great year for your football team and Lane Kiffin. I hear he's there early, stays late. Tell me a little bit about Elijah Moore, because it could be a big Thursday night or at least Friday night for him in the first two rounds of the NFL draft, Keith.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Elijah, you know, his performance and his statistics, you know, they all speak for themselves. I mean, he was just phenomenal this year. I mean, you look at him and really, if you take out Devontae Smith of Alabama, and really I would put Elijah right up there with him. Obviously, Devontae, and they were able to go through the playoff and he had more games, and he obviously is a phenomenal receiver. But, you know, Elijah was right there. And just to watch him all year, you know, he and Matt Corral just had a great bond and a great chemistry, and you know, it was phenomenal. But you know, like I said, those things kind of speak for themselves. What I love about Elijah, he's just a great young man. You know, he's somebody that, you know, obviously went through a lot here. He was recruited by Coach Breeze and you know, played with Coach Luke, and then, you know, obviously Coach Kiffin comes in and you know, gives him a great opportunity there, and you know, just a great young man, and look forward to seeing where he can go in the NFL draft. And you know, he's that type of player, you know, Bo, that could stick around the NFL for 12, 13, 14 years. You
Absolutely.
know, just doing his thing there in the slot, and going to have a great career. So look forward to that. And what I love about Elijah too is he loves Ole Miss. You know, he's a guy that always talks about, you know, how great his experience was here, and you know, look forward to spending more time and watching him as he progresses throughout his career.
Keith Carter on the Out of Bounds Show. I know you're busy. Were you able to make it by Pro Day? He had a heck of a Pro Day last week.
You know, I didn't get to go out there. Of course, I read all the stats and watched the highlights and everything. And yeah, he was just great. And you know, I think what was pretty cool is that, you know, I think some people who maybe hadn't seen him or hadn't had a chance to watch him up close, you know, is he too small? Is he not fast enough? You know, all those things. But you know, you look at his game film, he's the best player on the field, and then obviously he backs it up with running a great 40 and, you know, doing all those things in his pro day as well. So I think the sky's the limit, and look forward to seeing where he's going to end up.
Elijah Moore, first round, second round pick, NFL draft coming up in April, Cleveland, Ohio, wide receiver out of Ole Miss, had a great year last year, and they were all SEC games too. I can't imagine what he would have done against some G5 teams. We're visiting with Keith Carter, athletic director at Ole Miss. He joins us on the Modelo guest line. Keith, that offense looked great last year. It didn't take Lane any time, starting with the Florida game. Did they exceed? I know you knew that Lane was special on offense, hell of a play caller, good with the QB, but did did the offense even exceed your expectations in year one and without a spring training and so on because of COVID?
Yeah, I think it did. I think it did. I think if you, like you said, we just kind of jumped right out there that first week and just started putting points on the board. And, what I thought was so impressive, to your point, is that you go through that without a spring practice. I think for some of the established coaches and established programs, it wasn't easy to do that, but they kind of knew what they were running. They kind of had a system in place and had returning players and those type of things. So, to do what they were able to do without spring practice, really, not getting their hands on the players until, really July, when they started fall camp. So that was very impressive. But like you said, we knew Lane was going to bring, an exciting offensive style and, knew we had some talent, on that side of the ball. So, I thought that maybe it would take a little bit longer to kind of figure that out. And, obviously you got to give a lot of credit to Matt. Matt had a tremendous year. And, outside of kind of a couple of games, he was maybe the best quarterback in the country last year, just statistics, wise and all of that. So, excited to see what we can do, with spring practice and summer drills and, all those things. And obviously as we head into the 21 season, that offense should be pretty dynamic.
Well, I agree with you. So he's the best quarterback returning in the league, which if you're the best quarterback returning in the SEC, that means you got to be one of the top ones returning coast to coast. And so, yeah, I'd put him in the top 1, 2, or 3 going into this season. He's playing for, as you know, for first-round pick and so on. Now, all right, I've got a theory here, Keith. I want to run it by you. Keith Carter on the Out of Bounds Show. If you're Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State, South Carolina type programs, you got to take advantage of windows and opportunities. Here's the way I see the SEC West this year. Bama's the favorite, but, there's some new OC, new quarterback. But Auburn's in transition. LSU's on their 3rd set of coordinators in 3 years. And A&M will be breaking in a new quarterback. To me, that's an opportunity. To me, that tells me that second place or playing for a big bowl game is up for grabs, and that one of the teams that I just referenced, that type of program, could take advantage of a window of opportunity. How do you see it? Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it, and I think all of us, I know here at Ole Miss, our hope is that we can build a program where we can, sustain, some of the success and you don't have to, have a window every 3 or 4 years or 5 years or whatever. We want to have more sustained success, and I think we can get there. But I think you're right. I mean, I think that there's an opportunity, for several teams this year to really kind of break through and do some really cool things. And I think we're one of those teams, because of what we just talked about, the fact that, we're always going to be very potent on offense. We're going to score a lot of points. I think, on the defensive side of the ball, it's been well documented that we've got to get better there and didn't play as well there last year. But I think we're going to improve that, sooner rather than later. I think we're going to have a much improved defense this year. I love our coaching staff on that side of the ball. And so, yeah, I think that there's a great opportunity here. And, for us, again, here at Ole Miss, I think the beauty of that is we're only in year 2. We're in year 2 of kind of this rebuild, and we feel like we can already be, competitive with some of the top teams in the league and maybe make that run that you alluded to. So it's exciting, and, I think the sky is the limit. But, we're going to work hard, take it day by day, and hopefully, this 21 season can go really well.
I asked you this a few months ago, and this still may be, I guess it's always a work in progress. Keith Carter joining us on the Out of Bounds Show and the Modelo guest line talking Ole Miss athletics. Where do you see SEC football scheduling going in the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years?
Well, there's been a lot of discussion on, do you go to more conference games? Do you go to 9 conference games? Obviously this past year with the COVID season with 10 SEC games, I think everyone really enjoyed that. The fans did. I'm not sure the coaches and the players did a whole lot because it's just a grind every game, every Saturday. But, there was some buzz around that, and I think it made every game, very watchable, very, very relevant, those type of things. So, there's a lot of discussion to do that, Bo, but, if you look at how the SEC has performed over the past, 10 years, 15 years, basically having a chance to win a national championship almost every single year, our scheduling formula seems to be working okay, with the 8 conference games, the 4 non-cons. Obviously, the SEC does have a mandate that in one of those non-conference games you have to play a Power 5 opponent, which has been good and created some neat matchups. But I think we'll continue to look at that, and then I think, it all kind of plays into, where do we go if there's another round of conference realignment, and as we move forward there, which is very possible here over the next, 5 or 10 years. So I think that the discussion will continue, but it's almost that old adage, if it's not broken, don't fix it, because, the SEC has been very successful in getting opportunities to get to the national championship.
Keith Carter on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Okay, how do you – I know some of the scheduling was done by your predecessor, and obviously you've done some scheduling since you took over around a year and a half ago, or a little bit more. What do you like better, Keith? When you're scheduling non-conference Power 5, would you rather go home and home with Oklahoma State or something, or do you like this neutral site deal? I kind of feel like the neutral site thing was it sounded good in theory starting about 10 years ago, and we're still doing it. Obviously, you have one with Louisville, but what do you and your team discuss in meetings, and which one do you like better, home and home, non-conference Power 5, or mixing in some of this neutral site stuff?
Yeah, I think the trend, Bo, is to go more toward the home and home, and I think that has been that's been a good thing for us. We've had a great home and home with Texas. We've had some other cool matchups along the way, and when Lane got here, we were able to get a home and home with USC that's going to be here in 4 or 5 years, which is that's a cool matchup. So for us, I think that's what makes sense now. I think that finding nice places that we can go and our fan base can go, and new and creative places that maybe we haven't been before. Those are good things. Obviously, we do have a neutral site game next year. Not saying that we wouldn't, do those in the future, but I think as we move forward, our model and kind of our mindset would be to do more, home and homes that our fan base could enjoy those trips.
Yeah. How much of a discussion is it with the athletic directors, the commissioner, the presidents on with the technology and the smart TVs and the home experience or the Grove experience? How much discussion do you have around, how many people are going to really want to go to see UT Chattanooga going forward, or Wofford, or a team like that, Keith?
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion around that, and as we kind of schedule games and had the model that we've had over the past several years, we always know unless that game that you reference is the opener, the attendance probably isn't going to be great, and a lot of times that game ends up falling in November sometime, where people are ready to kind of take a week off anyway. They've been through the grind of the schedule and all of that, and it's kind of tough. So again, I think finding those matchups that make more sense and doing some things from that standpoint are good. But again, I don't know that it's something that's going to change right away, because again, it's really worked for the SEC to get into the postseason, and ultimately that's what we all care about. We want to get to great bowl games. We want to be able to get to the playoff and those type of things. But yes, certainly that is a cause for discussion, and the league's taken some bad publicity on that nationally. When I think there was one week a couple years ago where maybe there was like 5 of those games in a given week, and it was just wasn't great for TV,
yeah.
Wasn't great for kind of our national exposure that week and those type of things. So we'll continue to look at that for sure.
Where are you on the 11 a.m. game? I'm torn because part of me, you catch an 11 a.m. game in Oxford or Starkville, and you're done by 2:30, and then you get to go watch a bunch of games, cook a steak, and so on. Now, flip side is your drive-in markets for you and Cohen and others. That's a little bit of a, if you're driving in from Natchez, Macomb, whatever, it's a challenge. Now, I've also heard that they may move that game from 11 a.m. Central to 12 Central / 1 Eastern. I don't know where y'all are on that, but where are you on late morning game, the first game of the day.
Yeah, and obviously, students too. Students don't love that game. They're kind of rolling in about halftime, kind of groggy after a Friday night on the square. So, it's interesting. Obviously somebody has to play that time slot because we have the TV contract and all of that. So we understand that, it's going to be a part of our schedule each year. But there has been some things we talked about with the league, and our league's done a great job of trying to, make that window a little more manageable and like you said, pushing it back a little bit, to a little later time. But, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. A lot of times you'll get that game in the early season, for a non-conference game, or maybe it is that late November, game with the non-conference opponent. So I don't necessarily mind it. I think, like you said, if you play that game and you win that game, I think as a team it's great because then you get extra rest. You get get that Saturday night to just kind of chill out and enjoy and just be a normal college student, watch some games for them as well. But we got to continue to look at that because it's the other thing, Bo, now that 11 o'clock game used to be kind of the dreaded time slot because you didn't get a good TV window, a good TV partner. But now ESPN is doing one of those games.
Sure.
So it's a national audience. It's usually the first game on of the day nationally, which is good. So you got probably the whole national audience kind of clicking in for at least the first half of that game. So, that's good from a recruiting standpoint and a branding standpoint as well. So certainly some pros and cons, but, you'd much rather play the 2:30, 6 o'clock. Those are the more traditional times for sure.
No, I think you're on to something there. I actually think it's a more valuable time slot today than it was a few years ago because you're coming out of game day. And I think you're right, Keith, especially like if Ole Miss and Auburn play every now and then at 11 or Ole Miss and Arkansas or South Carolina, whatever, something that's got a little that's got some buzz or juice to it. You're leaving game day going straight to campus. And I think that we're seeing, you get the numbers more than I do, but I think we're seeing a trend where you got more eyeballs locked into that game. It'll be interesting to see what y'all do going forward. Keith Carter, Ole Miss AD on the Modelo guest line. What is the next project for Vaught Hemingway Stadium for Keith Carter and Ole Miss Athletics?
Well, we are actually in the process. And matter of fact, I've got interviews all day today with master planning companies. We're in the process of putting together a master plan for Ole Miss Athletics and a new capital campaign that we hope to launch either later this year or very early next year. We're very excited about it. It's probably going to be 8 or 9 different projects that really, touch all parts of our athletics department, a lot of our programs. And kind of the crowning jewel of that is going to be a renovation to the west side of our stadium. That press box side really hasn't been touched a whole lot in the last 40 years, and need to do some work over there. I'm not sure if it means taking it all the way to the ground and starting over. Obviously, we're gonna dive into all that, but that's going to be a big project for us and something that where we've come in college athletics and especially football is that. So many of the seats that people want are driven by premium options, the suites, the clubs, those type of things. So we're going to look to add, a lot more of those and see where we go with that west side. But we're excited about that. One of the projects that will be within the master plan is a renovation to our Manning Center, which is our indoor practice facility, new weight room, new locker room, some other, touch-ups over there that's important to Coach Kiffin. So we're diving in on that, and we're not sure exactly, where it's going to go from a number standpoint, what this capital campaign, what that final number is going to be. But we're excited about it. And, as we talked about a lot of times in this league, if you're not building something, you're falling behind. So we're excited to get started.
Keith Carter on the Out of Bounds show. Last one, Keith, Ole Miss baseball, 6-0 out of the gate, going to Florida this weekend. Elko, Chatinier, Hoagland, Nikhazy. There's a lot of good stuff going on. What do you make of this Ole Miss baseball team?
Well, I texted with Coach after the Bama series, after the second straight sweep, and I said, hey, this is pretty cool. Let's just sweep every weekend. No problem. Let's just make this easy. But no, obviously we've got a very tough stretch coming up. This league is such a gauntlet, so many great teams, but we love our team. We love our ball club, and I think we got a lot of pieces that could make a deep run, and just got to remain consistent, stay healthy. We've dealt with the injury bug a little bit here, at the early part of the season. But, Mike has built such a great program, and what we've seen over the past 4 or 5 years has really even taken it to the next level. Really, really an elite program that's, hopefully going to have a chance to be in that national seeding conversation this year if we can continue to play well. But it's exciting. I think in one, the baseball is exciting, but two, now that the governor's kind of opened the state back up, having fans in Swayze has been great, and that's a great thing for our fans as well. So we're looking forward to a strong finish, and hopefully we can get to Omaha.
Keith Carter on the Out of Bounds Show and ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Keith, thanks so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, Bo. Have a good one.
Take care. Keith Carter, Ole Miss Athletic Director, on the Out of Bounds Show and the Modelo guest line. A little bit on Elijah Moore, Matt Corral, Lane Kiffin. Scheduling, the future of SEC football scheduling. Where is it going to take us? I cannot wait to see. Blake, the 11 a.m. doesn't bother me as much as I see on the boards. I do think that Keith, I do too, because for me it gives me 2:30 to 11 o'clock at night watching games, watching Auburn, Bama, LSU, Georgia, Florida. I think Keith made a great point. When you win that game, it gives you the rest of the day on a game day in college football
to feel real nice,
to feel really good.
Yeah.
The steak is better. The Modelo's better. The Four Roses bourbon is better. So I do think that time slot is getting it was kind of crappy early.
Well, it was all Jefferson Pilot. Now it's ESPN.
And
that's the difference.
That is the difference. And I think it's a better slot than people.
Well, you're either coming out of SEC Game Day or you're coming out of ESPN Game Day, because you're either on ESPN
and Fox,
or you're on SEC Network.
You can switch back over if you want to get a little bit of.
I just mean even SEC. Like the two SEC teams are usually on Network or ESPN, so you're getting national eyes.
And I think after a 2-hour game day show, you're like chomping at the bit for some football
to see the actual action. No, I'm with you.
I mean, for me, game day is totally background music.
No, I'm with you.
I'm not locked into that show by any stretch, right? And Fox, I think, is maybe even put together a better show. They're just 25 years behind. But that 11-8, now, if they move it back, Blake, if they move it to noon Central, 1 Eastern, I do think, and look, it's going to be hot in September. It is what it is. But if you get that game in mid-October, late October, or any time in November, conference matchup, whatever, it's not a bad deal.
Yeah.
Especially if they do move it to noon.
No, I'm okay with it being 11 and doing what it is either. I'm not dying to tailgate like all day before a football game. It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, the Out of Bounds Show. 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, brought to you by Juniker Jewelry Store. If you're in the market for an engagement ring, a wedding ring, Juniker. That's right, Juniker Jewelry Store, and their team will take care of you. They are on Highland Colony in Madison. They're about a mile from us. Freestanding building. John and the team do a great job. If you're in the market for a bracelet, necklace, earrings, or engagement ring, well, it starts at Juniker Jewelry Store in Madison, Highland Colony. Show is also presented by Mississippi Ag and your next John Deere lawnmower. If you're in the market for a lawnmower, Mississippi Ag, Canton and Pearl, agup.com. The Mississippi Ag text line, 601-885-37